Victor is a lecturer in international business at Thang University's Faculty of Business Administration in Vietnam and holds a master's degree in commerce from University of Sydney, Australia, specializing in financing and logistics supply chain management. Her research interests are digital transformation, international business strategy, supply chain management, and sustainability. Now that you have heard about our speaker, without further ado, let's welcome Ms. Victoria. Ms. Victoria, the floor is now yours.
Can you all see my share screen now? The first slide? Yes, okay, good. So welcome everyone to your third workshop for the multilingual tickets organized by Sunway International Business Society, and my name is Victoria, and tonight I'm very happy to represent Thang University to join you in your third session on Vietnam. So currently I'm wearing the Vietnamese traditional clothes. I know it's hard to see, but it's a very beautiful dress. It's similar to one of the traditional Chinese custom, but it's a little bit different. So if you can Google it online, you'll be able to see what is the difference between our traditional áo dài, this is what it's called, and the Chinese traditional custom. So yes, very warm welcome to all of you on this flight to Vietnam. So this is our agenda for tonight. I'll keep it very fun, but also informative, because this is an opportunity for me to introduce about Vietnamese culture, the language, and how is it from the business perspective. And I'm happy to share that to Sunway students. And also I know some Vietnamese students are here, but they may or may not know some of this information to this extent about our language, our culture. So it's good to get updated as well. Okay, so I hope that Sunway students and TDTU students are going to pay attention and interact with me as much as you can to keep this session engaging. So I'll first start with some information about our country, Vietnam, and then we move to the main part about the Vietnamese language. I'll take you on a journey from the past to the present, and then we will stop at the Vietnamese culture from the business perspective. And lastly, it's time for you to raise any questions or ask me anything about Vietnam, doing business in Vietnam or the Vietnamese culture. And maybe I can help, or your Vietnamese friends who are here tonight online can share with you what we know and to help you understand about our country better. Okay, so that is my agenda for tonight's sharing session. So let's first get started with some ice-breaking activity. So in order to test how much you guys know about Vietnam as a country. Okay, so I'm sure many of you have heard about our country before, but let's check on your knowledge with, I think I have 3 questions here. So I will show you the questions with the multiple choice answer. And then your job is to type in the box chat the answer that you think that is correct, A, B, or C. Okay, and then I'll tell you the answer right after once we receive quite a number of responses from the audience. Okay, so are you ready for the first question? It will be quite easy, the first one. Yeah, so you guys ready? Okay. Yes. So the first question, can you allocate our country on the map? Okay, so I highlighted some regions here. So tell me in the box chat A, B, C, D, E. Which one do you think is our country, Vietnam? A, B, C, D, or E? Okay, I saw someone answer C. One else. That's a response from a Vietnamese student. Yeah, Hasna also think it's C. Anyone think A or B? C. Okay, most of chose C. Okay, yeah, that is also my answer, C. This is Vietnam with an S shape. Yeah, so we are located in the southeastern Asia. So above here to the east of Asia will be Japan, right? And I think this is Japan. Yeah, and to the D and E, I think it's maybe here it's Singapore. Yeah, E is maybe, I'm not sure whether it's who knows which country is E? Can you guys guess? Which country is E? D and E is Malaysia. Oh, B is not Indonesia, right? I'm pretty sure A is Japan. B is some other country, not Indonesia. I think Indonesia or Philippines over here. Yeah. Japan is B. A is Korea. Okay, maybe you guys are correct. I'm bad at geography. Anyway, yeah, correct answer is C, Vietnam. Yeah. Okay, second question. The capital of Vietnam is which of the following city? Hanoi, or B, Ho Chi Minh City, or C, Saigon? So with this question, I am looking for answer from Malaysian friends. So if Vietnamese student, you can wait a little bit. Okay, A, yes, A, Hanoi. No one picked Ho Chi Minh City. How about other Malaysian friends? Josephine, what is your answer? What do you think? Okay. Yes, the correct answer is A. Hanoi is our capital city and it is located in the north of Vietnam. Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon is actually the same. I mean, it's our city, Ho Chi Minh City. Saigon is the old way to address our city. Yeah, so Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon is the largest city in Vietnam, but it's happened not to be the capital. So just like Australia, we all know for Australia for Sydney, Melbourne, but none of them is Australia capital, right? The capital of Australia is Canberra, right? So this is something people misunderstood sometimes when they talk about Vietnam. So yes, the capital of Vietnam is Hanoi. Okay, let's move on to the third question. Okay, this is a bit more challenging. Vietnam is one of the world's hotspot of what? A, animal behavior research, B, biological diversity, or C, volcanic activity. Which one, A, B, C, do you think is the correct answer here? B, yeah. Anyone vote for A or C? Okay, Yi Ki votes for A. Okay, Hasna and Shazan go for B. Yeah, so majority pick B. And my answer would be, of course, C is not the correct answer because in Vietnam, we don't have any activated volcanoes, right? So to learn about volcanic activity, Vietnam is not the right place to do so. Animal behavior research, Vietnam is not known to be a wildlife, a country with very rich wildlife diversity. So A would not be a good choice here. So the right answer for this question is B, biological diversity. By biological diversity, we mean the study about the landscape, about the nature, including animal, right? But it's it's broader than that. So plants, trees, soil, yeah, springs, yeah. So because our country, our ancestors find our country like very long time ago, even before we were invaded by the Chinese and then the Japanese, the French, the American. But then at the moment, as you can see, we are very rich with nature and very with the environmental landscape as well. So a lot of things is under study and research. And for your information, if you guys are fans of Hollywood movie, you may have watched King Kong before, right? So I think the previous season of King Kong, not one that has recently been aired in the cinema before COVID-19, but the one before that. So it was filmed in Halong Bay in our country, and all the background, all the landscape are real, are true. Okay, so just a small information to be shared with you guys that our country is a world hotspot for biological diversity. Okay, so thank you for taking your effort in answering this question. So let's move on with the fourth one. This is quite easy to me. What is the most famous dish of Vietnamese cuisine? A, phở, or B, bánh mì? Yeah, I hope you Malaysian friends have heard about these two cuisines before and even have tasted before. So which one do you think is more famous? Which one do people mention when they talk about Vietnamese cuisine? Phở or bánh mì? Okay, both. Someone say both. Someone go for the baguette, the bánh mì, and yeah, phở. Anyone vote for phở as well? Yes, thank you. We're proud of our bánh mì too. Yes, so actually, these two cuisines are like always in the hot topic, right? But our most famous dish, we have to admit that it's phở, not bánh mì. So there's a lot of Vietnamese tasty street food and cuisine that are mentioned on world culinary magazines, and they mention both phở and bánh mì, and even other dishes like bún chả, right? Another version of the vermicelli that you have in Malaysia or with Thai food, but the top of the search word on the search engine Google would always be phở. Yeah, so phở is the correct answer here. Okay, so that's all of the 4 questions that I want to start first before moving on with some more information about our country. So I prepared a slide on the 2 famous cuisine of Vietnamese food to you. So it's bánh mì and phở. And bánh mì is actually quite similar to the French baguette, but what makes it so special is the fillings. So we fill it with a variety of ingredients, including meat. So you can have like the one in the middle here is actually the roasted pork. So it's like crackling pork that they often sell in Chinese restaurant. Or the more common one that foreigners are happy to go for is the one that made curd meat. So like ready-made meat like ham, chicken ham, pork ham, other spread. Yeah, so to Vietnamese people, we prefer like hot grill thing like the crackling pork or grilled pork, yeah, stew, like pork on the skew. So that will be more tempting to us, the Vietnamese, like the local citizen, yeah. But it's always packed with herbs and pickles that make a very good combination. So I love bánh mì as well. And to our students, I think this is a go-to choice if they are under time, yeah, if they are on the go, take away, yeah. So bánh mì is always a good option. And then we have something that is more suitable for dine-in experience, phở. So basically it's a bowl of soup, hot noodle soup. Usually it's a long thin one, and you can have beef phở or chicken phở or even vegan phở, right? So made from mushroom, and we have it with coriander, a lot of herbs as well, basil, Thai basil, yeah, and chili, pepper, vinegar. So to your preference. So it's a very someone described pho as something for hangover. So like after a long day, no, after a long night drinking, if you wake up with a bowl of pho for breakfast, that would be very ideal, and that can cure any fatigue, or if you are ill, yeah, if you are unwell, then sipping on a bowl of pho can make a totally different experience. Yeah, so I hope you get to try two of our most famous dishes in Malaysia before. Happy to welcome you to Vietnam and try on these two dishes. Okay, so I hope it's not too hungry for those who haven't got dinner. So let's moving to our main part about our country. So as I said, okay, yeah. Someone said it's similar to Subway. Yeah, similar. Yeah, and even someone asked about a caramelized catfish. Yes, and our student have you guys answer that before. Yeah, we have caramelized catfish as a dish to have with our hot rice. Yeah, and I think our first master chef, the Vietnamese girl, Christine Ha, yeah, she also brought this caramelized catfish to the competition, and since then the Vietnamese cuisine start to get impression from foreigners. Yeah. So moving on with our main section. So a little bit more information about the country to be shared with you guys. So we are located in the southeastern of Asia. The country is in the S shape, as you can see here. We have in total 54 ethnic groups. That's a lot, right? But the majority of them is from the King ethnic group. So I belong to the King ethnic group, and all TDTU students who are participating in this event is also the King people as well. Yeah. So as of 2021, the population of Vietnam is more than 98 million people. And they predicted that by 2025, we will reach 100 million people. That's a lot considering our area, which is just 212 kilometers square. So it's quite long, but it's not very wide. Yeah. So with this population and this area, in approximately for every 100 meters square, there will be 200, right? No, for every 1 kilometers, there will be 290 people. So that is the density of our population. Yeah. And we already know this. The capital of the country is Hanoi, and the largest city is Ho Chi Minh City. So Hanoi is in the north of Vietnam here, and Ho Chi Minh City is to the south of Vietnam, where we are now, where I am now. And beside Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, we all have another 3 substantial cities that are also a very good tourism attractions and the national hotspot for economic activities. They are Da Nang. Da Nang is located in the central of Vietnam, so it's very close to the ocean. Hải Phòng as well, also located somewhere here. So the marine economic activities are located here and Da Nang. And Cần Thơ is in Mekong Delta area, which is famous for fruit exporting or rice exporting. That is some information to be shared with you guys. Okay. Now move on with the language. Yeah. So I previously shared with you some information about the country, but now about the language specific. The Vietnamese language in the past is known as Annamese. Yeah, we didn't call Vietnamese in the past. The past here, I mean in the 10th, 11th until I think the 17th century. Yeah, from the 10th to the 17th century, the Vietnamese language is known as Annamese, not Vietnamese, because we have been long ruled by the Chinese. So Annam is how the Chinese address our location. Yeah. We are a part of the Austro-Asiatic language tree. So there's a lot of similarities with the Cambodian, the Thai language. Yeah. But later on, I will explain something more specific about the Vietnamese language to you guys and what makes it so different from the Chinese or the Thai or the Cambodian. Yeah. Our language is a tonal language, which means the tone used to pronounce a word can dramatically alter its meaning. Yeah. So depends on how you express that word, it can have a different meaning. Yeah, even though the writing is the same. Yeah, so the pronunciation, the tone will decide on the meaning of that word. Yeah, so that is very tricky to learners who first learn the Vietnamese language. Yeah, and some characteristic of the Vietnamese language, we have 3 dialects. Yeah, we have 3 dialects. Yes, so it's also ranged from by location. Yeah, so we divided into 3 areas: the north, the central, and the south of Vietnam. So the north of Vietnam, we call it northern Vietnamese. that is spoken by the people from the north. So Hanoi dialect, that's what they call. And this is to be called the standard, the prestige of the Vietnamese language. Yeah. Then we have the Seoul, I think somewhere here, was the capital of Vietnam before Hanoi become our capital. Yeah, so from the central Vietnam, hometown is from the central Vietnam, but I was born in the south of Vietnam, so my dialect is actually has been influenced by the southern Vietnamese way of speaking. But when I speak to my relatives, to my families, I use my central Vietnamese dialect, so Huế dialect, which sounds a little bit, how to say, to Vietnamese people, it's cute. I mean, it's very sweet, but to foreigners, it's even harder to recognize and to spot on the meaning. So it's quite challenging for the foreign learners to learn about the dialects from the center of Vietnam. So most of the time, people will go for Hanoi dialect or Saigon dialect, the north and the southern Vietnamese way of speaking, and to be the standardized one. So like the anchors speaking on the news, right? Like BBC Vietnam, they will often be people speaking with Hanoi dialect. Yeah, so that is something to be shared with you guys. So I think most of the students here, TDTU students here, they are speaking with the Southern Vietnamese dialect. So which is very friendly, very easy to hear, to understand. Yeah, I also can speak Southern Vietnamese dialect. Okay. Interesting, right? Now, let's dive into some more characteristic of our language. So beside the 3 dialects that I mentioned, we also have a lot of variations in lexicon. So remember I told you about the language itself with one word, yeah, it can have a different way of expressing, right? So this is something similar. So for example, I have an example here for you guys. If in English, you want to address my eyeglasses, yeah, so this is called eyeglasses in English, right? But the 3 dialects, they will express this, they will translate into Vietnamese differently. So the northern people, the northern Vietnamese will call this kính, yeah. But the central Vietnamese, if you say something like about glasses, they can address it as something like gương. They will call it gương. They wouldn't call it kính like the northern people. And then the people from Ho Chi Minh City to the south of Vietnam, including the Mekong Delta area, they will call it kiến, not kính. Yeah. So yeah. So it comes with variations. Yeah. So you should put this word into the context. Yeah. So depending on the context you are using, the right word, like the word that is the most appropriate to that context will be chosen. Yeah. So if you just mention about glasses and you don't put it into the context, then people from different areas in Vietnam, they will have different ways to address or to call it. Yeah. And then another characteristic to be mentioned is about non-inflectional. Yeah, non-inflectional. So the Vietnamese words, our words, do not change forms to express the grammatical categories like gender, number, tense, or case, or mood, like English. We don't have such complex grammar. Yeah, there will be no prefixes, no suffixes, no conjugation, no variations with third Persian or singular or plural forms. Yeah, the meaning relies primarily on quantifiers, time words, and context, as I said. Yeah, so I have an example here for you guys. It's about non-inflectional. So to your left is Vietnamese. Yeah, to your right, English. Okay. So here, the first line, the one I highlighted in red, represent Persian. It means Persian. We call it người. Okay, so one person in Vietnamese, we call it một người. It's like rẫn in Chinese, right? Rẫn means human, right? People, person, right? So in English, if you said there's one person and there are two people, right? But in Vietnamese, it will be the same. Yeah, so một means one. This word, ba, we call it ba. Ba means three. So một người means one person. Ba người means three people, right? But the way we write it is actually the same. Yeah, we don't have the plural forms of persons. Like we don't have persons, or we don't have people. It's all written as người. Yeah, so that is what I mean by non-inflectional. So are you okay with this? Yeah, so our language does not change the forms if it's single or plurals or yeah. So with the first example here, it's about single or plurals. Okay. Okay. So the second example, it will be about it will be about gender. Yeah. So the blue highlighted words here means study. So in our Vietnamese language, we call it học. So if I say I study, and then I say he studies or she studies, right? So in English, you change the forms, but in Vietnamese, we keep it the same. The subject is written differently. So tôi mean I. Anh ấy, so anh means he. Yeah, so that's what it means. And the third example is about the tense. Yeah, so past, present, future tense, right? So this example means I am studying and I study. One is in the present continuous, right? The second one is about past simple tense. So in Vietnamese, the verb itself is the same. So the verb study, as highlighted in blue here, right, is actually the same. Just add in another word to express the continuum of the word. So you mean to say that it is ongoing. So you add in this orange highlighted one here. Then Vietnamese people will know that, okay, you are studying. Yeah. If you already study, you finished your study already, you will add this green highlighted word. It means some activity is already been done. Yeah, so that is something different from English. Yeah, and I believe with French or with some other Latin, the gender is different than the way you use the word may also be different as well. But to language, the word itself doesn't change the form, but we just add in something to express the state of the action, or we keep it exactly like what it should be. So single or plural, it's basically the same. Yeah? So that is non-inflectional and variations in lexicon, the two characteristics of the Vietnamese language. Okay. Okay. I hope you are still following. It's not too hard yet. So moving on. This is fun. This is what foreign learners are scared of when they are taking Vietnamese classes, because we have too many tongues, just like the Chinese language. Because as you know, we have been influenced by the Chinese people like for more than 1,000 years. That's why our language, later on we'll come to the origin of the language, of the Vietnamese language, and then I'll explain further for you to understand how come the Vietnamese language system has this kind of tons. Yeah, so there are 6 tons in the Vietnamese language. Look like a music sheet here, right? So it will go from the very low ton to the very high rising one. So we have mid-level ton. That is a very, it's like ma. Yeah, so very, it's not going up, it's not going down, it's very neutral. Yeah, and then we have high rising ton. That is very high. And we have low phoneling. So it means it's neutral and it start to go a bit softer. Yeah, and then we have phoneling rising. That is when you want to ask questions, just like how the Chinese language always, with the questions always, and with, I remember there's a word in language, ma, right? Like 为什么, and then always ended with ma, right? To be recognized as I'm giving you a questions, right? So in our language, similar. If you are finishing your question with the phoneling rising tone, people recognize that as a question to be answered. Yeah, and then we have high rising broken tone. This is this one. So start with a very high rise tone, and then it's got neutral. So it's like broken. So later on, maybe I'll invite a TDTU student to pronounce this kind of word for you guys, and then you will be able to see the difference between these 6 tones. Okay. And lastly, we have low phoneling glottalized tone. This one. So this is a very, so as you can see on the music sheet here, think of it as a music sheet. This is something like do. It's a very, very, very end one. So very heavy, very, it's not something echo. Yeah. So that is the 6 tones that we have. And interestingly, as the tonal change, the meaning of the word change as well. Yeah. So let's invite one of the Vietnamese students to demonstrate the pronunciation of this word for you, so that you will be able to spot on the difference in terms of pronunciation here. So I would like to invite Kim Long. Kim Long, are you here? Long. Where's Long? Okay, maybe Long is occupied, or maybe he has problem with his microphone. So maybe I'll invite Nguyen.
Yes, miss.
Yes, so can you help me and the Malaysian friends to pronounce this word on the slide?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so start with the mid-level tone.
Okay, ma.
Yeah.
And then ma.
Yes.
And then ma.
Ma. Okay.
Next is ma.
Ma.
And ma.
Ma. Okay.
And finally is ma.
Yes. So thank you, Yuying. So Malaysian friends, I hope you hear it clearly, the difference with the tongues that Yuying just helped us demonstrated. So with the mid-level, ma, it means ghost in Vietnamese. So if you use a high rising tone, ma, it means the chick. So it changed the meaning already. And to some dialects, Ma doesn't mean chick. Ma also means mother. Yeah, so just like how we have mother, and then we have another way to call mother is mom, right? So in Vietnam, the way to call your mother is also varied by region. So the north may call the mother as mẹ, right? The south of Vietnam may call the mother as má as well, and the central of Vietnam may have a different way to address the mother. So in my hometown, we don't call mother as mẹ or má as usual. We call it ô. So it's quite complicated. But we can stop here with the meaning of the same word, okay? And once you use the low falling tone, so very soft one, it's ma. Ma means however or but, okay? And then when it's a falling rising, ma means top or something related to the graveyard, right? And then the high broken one, ma, means a horse. So similar to the Chinese pronunciation, right? Ma or ma, something you also address the horse. I remember it's similar to that. And if you are using low falling glottalized tongue, it means a young rice plant. So ma. So ma, 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 and then ma. That are the 6 tones of Vietnamese language. Yeah, so a bit headache already, but I hope you recognize. So people often address or describe when they hear a Vietnamese conversation in Vietnamese, they thought that they're listening to a piece of song or a piece of music because it's always up and down, up and down. Yeah, so I think it's quite similar to the Chinese language, which is very amusing to me. Yeah. So moving on, I have a question for you. So please type in the box a number from 1 to 10. Okay. How many official periods are there for the Vietnamese language? So can you have a guess? With our language, with our history, think of our history and give me your suggestion of how many official periods are there for our language from the first day to the current state of our language today. So from 1 to 10, you can give me a number. What do you think? 5, 3, 4. Okay. Let's see if the Vietnamese students know about this question as well. Maybe I need another 2 guessing. So beside 3, 4, 5, how many periods do you think are there? No other votes? Okay, so the answer is we have 6 periods, 6 officials. So that's a long way. Yeah, starting with the pre-Vietnamese, and then the Vietnamese, archaic Vietnamese, ancient Vietnamese, middle Vietnamese, and the current one, we call it modern Vietnamese. So to reflect about this, something about history to be mentioned here. I told you before that we have been ruled by the Chinese for more than 1,000 years, and then the Japanese, the French, and the American, right? So the ancient Vietnamese ends in the 17th century. So before that, so I mean 1 to the first 3 or the first 4 periods of our language has been dominated by the Han dynasty. Yeah, so the Han dynasty is also the Chinese, right? And then after the 17th century, the language start to be influenced by the French, the European language system. Yeah, so the writing as well is changing over time from the pre-Vietnamese to the modern Vietnamese. So from period 1 to period 4, even though there are revolutions with our language, but it's still heavily influenced by the Chinese rule. But after the 4th period, we start to stop using the Chinese characters and we switch to the Roman characters, so A, B, C, D, like the Latin alphabet. Yeah, so that is some information to be noted here. So we have 6 periods, and 4 of them are heavily influenced by the Chinese, and the other remaining 2 periods are influenced by the French. Okay, so for more details, with the 6 periods, we now come to the 3 stages of development with the writing system of our language. So as you can see here, as I mentioned, the first 4 periods are heavily influenced by the Chinese. And then we have the 5th and the 6th period influenced by the European. So our language system, our writing system start with the hand writing. So the writings that are also used by the Han dynasty. And then with some revolution, we turn it to something called chữ nôm. So chữ in Vietnamese means writings or letters. So it means the language. Okay, Han is like Han dynasty. Nôm is actually the Vietnamese writing, but still influenced by the Chinese character. So chữ nôm and chữ Hán are presented like this. Okay, so with all that Chinese characters, so very similar because we are heavily influenced from the Chinese rules. So we call it Southern characters, the Han, and the classical Chinese, chữ nôm. Okay, and in the past, so up until the 17th century, chữ Han and chữ nôm, the Southern characters and the classical Chinese characters, are used heavily in administration and scholarly circles. So something like books, policy, governmental policy are written in these 2 languages, in these writings, characters. And not until the end of 17th, beginning of 18th century, Sir Alexander the Rhodes, the French guy, came and introduced to the Vietnamese language the Romanese version of that. So we stopped using the Chinese characters, but then our language is replaced by the alphabet. So A, B, C, D, right? But with our variations. So later on, if you read any Vietnamese articles, often you will see A, B, C, D, but then you will see a variation of D, right? We don't just have D, we have D dash, right? And then we don't just have C, we have CH, and then we have like a lot of combination of the single letters. So that makes a national script for our country. So that is called the modern Vietnamese until now. So chữ quốc ngữ means the national script. So our language, our writing system has been replaced completely by the early 20th century with the Romanese version of the alphabet. And that is thanks to Alexander the Rhodes, who created this script for us. Okay. Yeah. So that is about the writing system. Yeah, so here are some common expressions that you often hear, and I guess foreigners would like to learn as well. So to say hello in our language, we say xin ciao. Yeah, so xin ciao. So similar to the Italian expression, right? Like ciao, right? So xin ciao, similar to that. So basically it's a hello, but like the Japanese, you have or the Chinese. I know many Malaysian students can speak Chinese. Like you have different way to say good. That like it's not hello for good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, right? You have good morning. I think is Quản. Is it Quản An, right? And then something for good afternoon, and then something for good evening. So similar to the Vietnamese language, if you address it as good morning, we call it chào buổi sáng. Yeah, so chào is like hello, right? But buổi sáng means morning, right? And then good afternoon, we keep the word chào, but then we replace the word morning with the word afternoon. So we call it chào buổi chiều. So chiều means afternoon, and then good evening means buổi tối. So buổi is similar, but tối means dark. It means the sunset. So that is to say when the sun is the sunset already. So good evening, there will be different way to call it. But in general, you can just approach any Vietnamese and say hello by pronouncing xin chào. Then they will understand you are greeting them. Yeah. And then thank you, it's cảm ơn. Yeah. So cảm ơn. As you can see, we have the tons here, right? Cảm with that question mark. You need to express that, or else it will sound like cảm ơn, right? When there's no tons, it means cảm ơn. There's no meaning. But if you put in some tons there, cảm ơn, then it means thank you. And then we have sorry. I am sorry. So xin lỗi, xin. Yeah. So here there's a ton here to be pronounced correctly, or else people will not understand it. So xin lỗi here means I'm sorry, I apologize, or it can mean excuse me. So it's like, excuse me, can you show me the way to the airport, or how far is it from here to the subway, for example. So xin lỗi doesn't always mean apologize or I'm sorry, right? So it depends again on the context you are putting in these expressions. Yeah. So these are the three most commonly used Vietnamese to foreigners. So the basic language, the basic Vietnamese language. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So talking about the modern Vietnam, there are a lot of words that we adopt and we keep it. Yeah. We accept that phonetic forms to be used in our language, so we don't change it. So for your reference, many Vietnamese words in the modern Vietnamese, so being used nowadays, are kept its original form, or we just pronounce it very similar. So for the Chinese language, a lot of them are to be kept to be used in medical, in science, in politics. The English, maybe we use it for technology. And the French word, we may use it for fashion, for cuisine, right? So I have some example here, some words that the modern Vietnamese language borrow and keep the form of that. So for example, cafe. So it's like the cafeteria. yeah, or coffee, right? So we borrow this word from the French. Savon, it's the French word for soap, right? Savon, we call it in Vietnamese. So savon, actually, it's very similar, right? And we even have some similar pronunciation with the Chinese word nowadays. So hải quan is one example, or I have some other example like if there's a word like lãng phí in Chinese, we call it lãng phí in Vietnamese. So you can tell there's a similarity there. Or romantic in Vietnamese, we call it lãng mạn. So in Chinese, I know it's lãng mạn, right? Lãng mạn, something like that. Maybe my pronunciation is not very precise, but those are the words that sound very similar. Or police officer in Vietnamese, we call them công an. In Chinese, I know it's similar to that pronunciation, công an, right? So some of that example for you to know that we transform some foreign words into our language by keeping it form as well. So we also borrow something from the Japanese, from the Italian, like TV. We don't translate it into our language. Shopping, yeah, we just have a different way to pronounce it. So for example, shopping, it's an English word, right? So in Vietnam, to Vietnamese people, of course, they will not pronounce as accurate as shopping. They will say like shopping. Yeah, so a very softer side of that. Or pizza. They keep that same words for that cuisine. Pizza. Yeah, they don't change it. We don't bother to change it as well. Okay. Yeah, so that is the modern Vietnamese. Okay, lastly, about the Vietnamese culture from the business perspective. This is something good to know, and especially to the younger generation, if you happen to work or to relocate in Vietnam and you need to work and communicate with the Vietnamese people, then these are something you need to be aware of. Okay. Sorry, I didn't replace this one. I didn't delete this one, so ignore this one. Okay, my mistake. So there are 6 key points here I want to highlight. So first, unlike English or the foreign language, we Vietnamese people address other person with their names with this order. Okay, so instead of Barack Obama, right, the first name and then the last name, Vietnamese people will always put the last name at first, then middle name, and then lastly the name. So my name is it's Victoria Nguyen, right? Then Victoria is my name, but in Vietnam they don't put Victoria as first. They put Nguyen as my last name as first, and then Victoria as my first name will be the last one. Yeah. The second point to be noted is the concept of face. So I guess it's similar to many other Asian cultures, not just the Vietnamese cultures. So the concept of face means when doing business, it is one of the business ethics that you must know to save the face of your partners or of your own business. So for example, if you are in an auction, right? So if say I am the supplier for Unilever, and say Charlotte or Louis is also another suppliers for this product, and we are in an auction for Unilever. So if I compare myself with Louis company or Sherlock company, and I know that I'm going to lose against them. So like I'm not as competitive. I'm not as sorry guys, I think I was dropped out for a while. So let me show again. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, carry on with the concept of face. So say I know that I'm losing. I'm not as competitive as Lewis company or Charlotte company, but I'm not going to admit that I'm not as competitive as them. So I know, and my competitors say we are all Vietnamese supplier. Okay, for example, we know my competitors like Lewis company and Charlotte company all knows that okay, Victoria's company is lacking of the most up-to-date technology. Her pricing is not as competitive as us because she sourced that material from somewhere else and it's not as sustainable as our company. So even though that is the truth, but with business, like in the business environment, the Vietnamese companies, they are trying to save the face of their own enterprise and also their partners as well. So they will try not to admit their shortcomings. That is something to be understood under the table. So I know the truth is that, but I don't have to say it out loud because that is how we communicate in our culture. Yeah. So the concept of face, something like that. Or if I am Unilever and I'm currently working with Vietnamese supplier, right? So Unilever Vietnam. So if Unilever is to refuse a company because they are not compatible with their portfolio, Unilever Vietnam, the right way to handle that situation is not to say that we reject you because of this reason. So they will try to save the face of that company by saying something that is like less dramatic. Yeah, but we, as that supplier and as Unilever, we all know the true story is that we are lacking of technology. We are not as competitive in terms of pricing. We are not having these features that Unilever is looking for. Yeah, so the concept of face is to that meaning. Okay. The third part is about the language itself. So I told you before when we mentioned about the tones in our language, with different tones, it means differently, right? And just like how when you compare between the British and the American English, maybe the same way of expressing the same phrases used, but it means differently. So with this third part, it's similar to that. So a yes in Vietnamese language merely indicates an understanding. So it's just to let you know that we understand your point. We need some time to comprehend that. It doesn't mean that it's an agreement. It doesn't mean that we agree. It doesn't mean that we now can close a deal with you. Yeah, it means that, okay, we absorb all the information. We take it from here. We will give you some feedback afterwards, or if you are aware of our business culture, the Vietnamese business culture, then you know that we need some more dinners, we need some more meetings to discuss further. So a yes is merely just to indicate an understanding. It doesn't mean any decision is made yet. Yeah. And the fourth is something also relevant to other Asian cultures as well. So I'm talking about Kwansi. Yeah. So one of the Confucian values that also has influenced the way the Vietnamese society function. And as I'm addressed here, Confucianism has flavored Vietnamese society. So Confucianism to TDTU student, it means khổng giáo. So it's something originated from the Chinese long time ago. So there are many values that we as Vietnamese take on from Confucianism. So Quan Si in business is one of the critical points here, especially when business in Vietnam. So that's why we have gift giving. Yeah, that's why we have dinner with partners before any big event, right? Or if you want to sign a contract, if you want to shorten your administrative time, you need Kwansi, you need relationship, you need personal relationship. That is something as a catalyst for you to do or to make the job, make the thing happen in your ways. Yes. So without Kwansi, it's very difficult for that enterprise or for that company. And I know it's not something to be so proud of, because there is when things like corruption can happen, right? But we have to admit that the Vietnamese culture is being run that way. And as I mentioned as I use the word flavor, so it doesn't mean if you don't have personal relationship, you cannot do any business, no. But it will just make things smoother, quicker, more effective. Yeah, they will check on your files first instead of letting you wait until your order, right? So Kwansi is something to be aware of when you are doing business in Vietnam or when you are working with the Vietnamese people. Yeah. And then the fifth point is about hierarchy and phase manifest in different ways within business meetings. So just like the Chinese values or the Confucian values, we respect the elders, right? The senior people at the dining table, we need to wait until they take their first bite, for example, or entering the business meeting, it's always the senior one to be seated first, right? Or we need to take care of them first before others. So even if I'm young, even if I'm not the oldest one in the company, but if I'm the CEO and you are the line manager and you are 50 years old and I'm only 30, then you still need to treat me like that, because in terms of hierarchy, I'm above you. Yeah. And lastly, this is very interesting. Doing business in Vietnam, we as enterprises, as company or business representative, auspicious days are taken seriously when doing business. So auspicious days means something similar to, let me remember the word. Okay, feng shui, right? So phong thủy. In Vietnamese, we call it phong thủy. So in Chinese, I know it's feng shui. So auspicious days mean for the opening or the soft opening, they will need to pick the right and appropriate day for that big event to be organized, right? Or they will, like business on their opening or any business, not just company, maybe a street vendors or a fashion store, yeah, along the street. When they first open or when they launch their retail shop, they are very careful with the first groups of buyers. So it's like whether or not it's bring them a sign of luck or joy, or if they happen to welcome a group of very annoying and demanding customer, and they end up not buying anything from them on their first day. That will be so frustrating, and that will be a sign of bad luck for the whole business period. So that is something the business people in Vietnam are quite they take it very seriously. Yeah, so they even plan, right, who to be welcome, right? Or for example, if I am to open a new cafeteria in the city center, and I know maybe Joey, she is a successful businesswoman, and she has 3 coffee shops in the city, and they are all very crowded, very successful. Then I would like to invite her to come to my soft opening. It's like to take some of the luck and prosperity from her. Yeah, it's like, okay, let's share some of that luck with me on my first opening event, something like that. So that's what it means for this 6th point. Yeah. So basically, that is everything I would like to share with all of you in this short session about Vietnam, the Vietnamese language, and the Vietnamese culture. Okay, so before coming to the Q&A session, I have another set of questions to check whether or not you remember what we have been through in the past 1 hour. Okay, so my question is, what kind of alphabet does the current Vietnamese language have? A, B, or C? The Chinese, the Roman, or the Thai? The current Vietnamese language. Okay. Please type in the box chat. Okay, my computer is a bit slow. I haven't seen any response for my first question. What kind of alphabet does the current Vietnamese language have? Has anyone typed in? B, B, B. Yes, it's B. Yeah, the current Vietnamese writing system or the language is using the Roman alphabet, so A, B, C, D. Yeah, the Romanese version has been replaced. The Chinese characters has been replaced by the Romanese version. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Now move on to the second one. How many tongues does the Vietnamese language have? 4, 5, or 6? This is easy, right? C, yes. C, yes. Good job, Malaysian friends. Yes, we have 6 tongues. Yeah, and the slides are with the International Business Society, so you can have a read again your own time. Now, the third question, how many dialects does the Vietnamese language have? 2, 3, or 4? Okay, B. Okay, may I ask any of you to name the 3 dialects for me? If any of you remember, maybe Malaysian friends. Charlotte? Do you remember what are the 3 dialects? Yeah, Hasna already gave me an answer. Hanoi for the northern Vietnamese, the central, or we call it Huế dialect, the former capital of Vietnam, and Saigon, or the northern the southern Vietnamese. Okay, so good job on remembering that. The fourth one, who has built on the work to create the Vietnamese national script, the Chinese, the Japanese, or the French? I mean Alexander the Rhodes. So who contributed to our national script that we are using nowadays? ABC? C? Okay, any other choice? A? Okay. Maybe a few more response. Read the question carefully. Okay, I am asking about the national script. So, national script is what? It's the modern Vietnamese, right? So the correct answer here is not A. A, the Chinese people contributed a lot to establish our pro and pre and ancients and what's the other one? Archaic Vietnamese, but not the modern Vietnamese. So the correct answer here is Alexander the Rhodes. That guy came up with the alphabet for us. Yeah, that has been influenced from the Romanian. Yeah. So the right answer here is C. Okay. Yeah, so that is it from me. With everything I would like to share about Vietnam, the language and the culture. And thanks a lot for your attention, participation, and I am very happy that you got most of the questions correct. It means you are listening and you're following, and my explanation is easy to follow. Okay, so thanks a lot. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. And TDTU students are here to help you answer them as well. So we are here to exchange our knowledge and experience. Thank you.